Have you ever wondered if a small, seemingly insignificant act could actually change someone's life? We often get so caught up in our own worlds, rushing from one task to the next, that we forget the profound impact we can have on others. Today, I want to share a story with you, a true story that proves just how powerful a simple act of kindness can be. It's a story about a young boy named Chris, a lonely old man named Mr. Henderson, and a single, unexpected gesture that rippled through their lives in ways neither could have ever imagined. Our story begins on a quiet, tree-lined street, the kind you see in old movies. Chris was just 10 years old, a boy full of energy, but often feeling a little lost in the shuffle of a big family. He lived a few houses down from Mr. Henderson, a man whose life had grown as quiet as the street he lived on. Mr. Henderson was a widower, his children grown and living far away. His days were long and silent, marked only by the ticking of a grandfather clock and the changing light outside his window. The neighborhood kids saw him as a bit of a mystery, a grumpy old man who rarely smiled. They'd whisper stories about him, none of which were true. One sweltering summer afternoon, Chris was kicking a worn-out soccer ball against his garage door. Thump, thump, thump. It was a rhythm of boredom. Then he saw Mr. Henderson struggling to carry a heavy bag of groceries from his car to his front door. The bag was bulky, and the old man had to stop every few steps, his face strained with effort. The other kids on the street didn't even notice, but Chris did. Something inside him, a little nudge of empathy, told him to do something. He dropped his ball, ran over, and with a slightly shy voice asked, "Mr. Henderson, can I help you with that?" Mr. Henderson looked down, surprised. For a moment, he just stared at this young boy with bright, earnest eyes. He was so used to being invisible, to being the grumpy old man in the background. He managed a small, rusty smile and said, "Why, thank you, young man. That would be very kind." Together, they carried the groceries inside. As Chris placed the bag on the kitchen counter, he noticed something. The house was books piled off dem, on shelves on chairs. "Wow," Chris said. "You have a lot of books." Mr. Henderson's eyes lit up. "I do," he replied. "They're my friends." That small act of carrying groceries became a bridge. The next day, Chris found a book on his doorstep. It was an old copy of Treasure Island, with a note tucked inside. "For my new friend." Chris was captivated. He'd never been a big reader, but this was different. It was a secret shared, a treasure given just to him. He devoured the book. When he finished, he knocked on Mr. Henderson's door, eager to talk about Jim Hawkins and Long John Silver. That conversation was the first of many. An unlikely friendship blossomed over stories of pirates, adventurers, and distant lands. Mr. Henderson wasn't a grumpy old man. He was a master storyteller, a historian, a guide to 1,000 different worlds. Summer turned to fall, and fall to winter. Their routine was set. Chris would help Mr. Henderson with chores raking leave, shoveling snow, and Mr. Henderson would share his world of books. He taught Chris about history, about poetry, about the stars. He listened to Chris's dreams of becoming an astronaut and encouraged him, telling him that any journey, even one to the moon, begins with a single step and a good map. For Chris, Mr. Henderson became the grandfather he barely knew. For Mr. Henderson, Chris was the burst of life and laughter that had been missing for so long. The silence in his house was replaced by excited chatter and shared wonder. The neighborhood kids, seeing Chris coming and going from the old man's house, started to see Mr. Henderson differently, too. They saw a friend, not a phantom. Years passed. Chris went through middle school and high school, always with Mr. Henderson as his mentor and friend. He excelled in his studies, especially in science and literature. A passion ignited by that first copy of Treasure Island, when it came time for college applications. Chris knew exactly what he wanted to write his essay about. He wrote about a quiet street, a heavy bag of groceries, and a friendship that taught him that the greatest treasures aren't buried on a distant island, but are found in the connections we make with each other. He wrote about the power of kindness. He was accepted into his dream university to study aerospace engineering. The day before Chris left for college, he went to say goodbye to Mr. Henderson. The old man was frail now, but his eyes were as bright as ever. He handed Chris a small, wrapped gift. It was a beautiful, leather-bound journal and a new fountain pen. "Every explorer needs a logbook," Mr. Henderson said, his voice thick with emotion. "Write your own story, Chris. Make it a good one." They promised to write letters. Old-fashioned, handwritten letters to keep their connection alive across the miles, and they did. They wrote about everything: Chris's challenging classes, his new friends, his dreams of space, and Mr. Henderson's quiet observations, his books, and his pride in the young man he saw Chris becoming. During Chris's final year of college, he received a call. Mr. Henderson had passed away peacefully in his sleep. The news hit Chris hard. He returned home for the funeral, his heart heavy. After the service, a lawyer approached him. Mr. Henderson had left something for him. It was his entire library, thousands of books, and in his will there was a personal note. It read, "To Chris, who carried my groceries and, in doing so, carried my heart. You reminded an old man that it's never too late to make a new friend. These books were my world, and now I give that world to you. Keep exploring, keep being kind. It's the most powerful force in the universe." Your friend, H. Chris, stood in the middle of Mr. Henderson's house, surrounded by the books that had shaped his life. He ran his hand over the worn spines of Treasure Island, and the tears he'd been holding back finally fell. It all started with one small moment, one choice to help instead of walking by. A 10-year-old boy's simple act of kindness didn't just help an old man with his groceries. It saved him from a life of loneliness. Ondine that old the boy universe of knowledge, confidence, and a belief in himself that set him on a path to the stars. Today, Chris is an engineer at a leading space exploration company. He's helping to design the next generation of spacecraft that will take us to Mars and beyond. And on his desk, right next to his complex schematics and computer models, sits a small, framed photo of a smiling old man and a leather-bound journal. He never forgot the lesson Mr. Henderson taught him. He makes a point to mentor young students, to share his passion, to offer a helping hand whenever he sees someone struggling. He knows that kindness isn't just a nice thing to do. It's a spark. It's a catalyst. It's the force that can change a life, build a bridge between generations, and ultimately change the world, one small act at a time. So, the next time you see someone who might need a hand, the next time you have a chance to offer a kind word or a small gesture, I hope you remember Chris and Mr. Henderson. You never know whose life you might change. You never know what incredible journey you might be starting for them and for you. The power to create a story like this is in all of us. Thank you so much for watching and for letting me share this story with you. If it touched your heart, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for more inspiring content. And share in the comments below what's a small act of kindness that changed your life. I'd love to read your stories. Until next time, be kind to one another